There's a moment I didn't expect to come. Not after everything. Not
5 more
after the
minutes.
door, the ring, the shame of that shared desk. The months of proving to myself I could survive on nothing but discipline and a paycheck that barely covered the basics.
5 more
I didn't
minutes.
expect anyone to notice. But someone did. If you've followed this story since part 1, you know what it cost me to get here. You know about the lies, the door,
5 more
the small
minutes.
desk, the voice in my head that told me I deserved to start from nothing. What I didn't know sitting at that desk every morning with my coffee going cold was that all of it, every unglamorous, uncelebrated hour of it,
Is
was
there something
quietly
wrong with the
building toward
project?
something. It started on an ordinary Tuesday. Nothing about that morning felt different. Same alarm.
Here is the
same
file you
drive,
requested.
Same
Is there
small
something wrong with
rituals
the
I'd built
project?
to survive the shame of starting over. But when I sat down at my desk, my manager was standing there, holding a folder.
Here is the file
and
you
her
requested.
face wasn't the usual
Is there something
polite,
wrong with the project?
distracted expression I'd gotten used to. Do you have a few minutes? She asked. My stomach dropped instantly.
Here is
In
the
my
file you
head,
requested.
I was already
Is
being
there something
let go.
wrong with the project?
That's what months of starting from nothing does to you. It teaches you to expect the floor to disappear again at any moment.
Here is the file
I
you
followed
requested.
her into a small
Is there
meeting
something
room,
wrong with the project?
and she slid the folder across the table. I've been watching what you've done with the filing system, the scheduling, the way you cleaned up 3 departments worth of chaos without anyone asking you to. She paused. We want to move you into a coordinator role. It's a real title. It comes with a raise. I didn't say anything for a moment. I actually didn't trust my own voice. You don't have to answer right now, she said softer. No, I said, and I heard my own voice come out steadier than I expected. Yes, I want it. I want to tell you what that moment actually felt like, because it wasn't triumphant the way you'd expect. It wasn't fireworks. It was quiet and it was overwhelming, and it hit me all at once in the parking lot afterward, sitting in my car. The same car where, months earlier, I'd sat in stunned, humiliated silence on my first day. This time, I sat there and I cried for a completely different reason. Nobody had rescued me. Nobody had swooped in with a ring, or a bailout, or a shortcut. I had built this, brick by unglamorous brick, entirely on my own, in a job I used to be ashamed to admit I had. That raise wasn't huge. I want to be honest about that, because I don't want to oversell this story into something it wasn't. It wasn't the kind of number that changes your life overnight. But it was mine and it was proof, and for the first time since everything fell apart, I let myself imagine something past just surviving. That night, I did something I hadn't done in over a year. I opened my laptop, and instead of just checking my balance and closing the tab out of anxiety like I used to, I actually looked, really looked, at what I had, at what I could build. I called my friend, the same one who'd talked me through taking that admin job in the first place. I want to actually do something with this, I told her. Not just survive on it. Build something. Like what? She asked. I don't know yet. But I'm done being scared of my own bank account. I started small, the same way I'd started everything else in this rebuild. I opened a savings account completely separate from my checking, one I couldn't touch without thinking twice. I set up an automatic transfer, embarrassingly small at first, the kind of number that wouldn't have registered in my old life at all. But it was consistent. Every 2 weeks, without fail, a piece of my paycheck moved itself into a future I was building without anyone's permission. Then I did something that terrified me more than taking that admin job ever had. I opened an investment account. I didn't know what I was doing. Not really, not at first. I spent nights reading, watching videos, taking notes like I was back in school, determined not to let my own ignorance be the reason I stayed small. I made mistakes. I second-guessed every single decision. But I kept going. There was a night, maybe 2 months into the new role, where I sat at my kitchen table. The same table where I'd once sat with a legal pad, terrified, calculating how far I'd fallen. And I looked at the numbers in front of me. My savings account. My small, careful investments. My new title. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, the numbers weren't a source of shame. They were proof. I want to tell you about the moment it really hit me, because I think it's important. It wasn't the promotion. It wasn't the first time my investment account ticked up instead of down. It was smaller than that, and somehow bigger. I was standing in my kitchen, making dinner, and my phone buzzed with a notification. The automatic transfer had gone through, right on schedule, the way it always did now. And I just stood there for a second, spoon in hand, and I thought, I did this. Nobody did this for me. Nobody gave me permission. I built this in a job I was once ashamed to name, with money I once flinched to even look at. He stood at my door once with a ring, believing that was the finish line. That provision was something only he could offer me. He never understood that I didn't need someone to hand me security. I needed to build it myself, slowly in the dark, with nobody watching and nobody clapping, until one day I looked up and realized I wasn't scared of my own life anymore. This is what nobody tells you about the soft empire. It's not built the moment you decide you deserve better. It's built in the unglamorous middle. The small desk, the shame, the discipline nobody sees, the automatic transfer that happens quietly every 2 weeks whether you're proud of yourself that day or not. And then one ordinary Tuesday, someone hands you a folder, and you realize all of it was working the entire time. I'm not done. I want to be clear about that. This isn't some finish line where everything is suddenly solved. I still have moments of doubt. I still catch myself flinching at old habits, old fears about money, old voices that tell me I don't deserve what I'm building. But I'm not the woman sitting in that parking lot in shame anymore. I'm the woman who built her way out of it, one quiet, disciplined choice at a time. If you've been here since part 1, since the discovery, the door, the ring, the small desk, thank you for staying with me through the parts that weren't easy to tell. This is what all of it was building toward. Not rescue. Not someone else's version of security. Something entirely, unmistakably mine. Subscribe if this story means something to you. Because this empire isn't finished being built. And I have a feeling the next chapter is going to be the one where everything really starts to change.